we weren't on the same page with what we wanted to do next. Yeah. And, you know, I don't think any of us wanted to do it together.
Even when the band was having tough times, we could still always perform.
Long before The Weeknd became a star boy, it was Barenaked Ladies who put Scarborough, Ontario on the map. Formed in 1988 by Ed Robertson and Stephen Page, the Barenaked Ladies went on to sell over 15 million albums worldwide. Tonight, Barenaked Ladies will be inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame, and Stephen Page will be performing with the band for the first time since 2009. For a lot of fans of the band, this induction is a long time coming. Take a look.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
They're one of the best-selling Canadian groups around the world. Their song, 1 Week, reached #1 on the Billboard Top 100 chart. They have 2 Grammy nominations, 2 Billboard Music Awards, and 8 Juno Awards to their name.
We're Barenaked Ladies, and we're a little too cheap to make our own video, so here you go.
But like many bands before them, they had humble beginnings. They've weathered stormy waters. BNL's first commercial release was The Yellow Tape,
If I had $1 million.
a cassette that was originally meant to be a demo, but went on to become the first indie release to reach platinum status in Canada.
I'd be rich.
It was a 5-song cassette that beat out new releases from U2 and Madonna on the charts, and with that explosive success, Barenaked Ladies changed what was possible for indie artists in Canada. In 1994, they released Gordon, an album that gave you hits like If I Had $1 Million and Be My Yoko Ono. In the 90s and early 2000s, Barenaked Ladies seemed unstoppable. In 1996, their first live album, Rock Spectacle, became their first gold album in the States. Their 1998 studio album, Stunt, hit #3 on the Billboard album chart.
Barenaked Ladies, everybody, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
But things came to a screeching halt in 2008. Stephen Page was arrested in New York for possessing cocaine. A month later, Ed Robertson was involved in a light airplane crash and later suffered a family loss. By the following year, Stephen Page had left the Barenaked Ladies for good. But the band lived on. BNL continued to make new music, and they performed the songs that Ed and Stephen had written together. Meanwhile, Stephen Page pursued a solo career. 2018 marks the Barenaked Ladies' 30th anniversary. Tonight, they'll be inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame to join the ranks of Leonard Cohen, Alanis Morissette, Rush, and the Tragically Hip.
Shook Corey Hart's hand. All right.
They'll also be performing together for the first time in almost a decade. So I sat down with Stephen and Ed, separately, to hear how they're feeling about everything. Take me back to Scarborough in the 80s. When did you know that you wanted to make music with Steve?
I had known Steve from the 4th grade to the end of high school.
I knew Ed when I was in grade 5 and he was in grade 4. We were at the gifted program in Scarborough. He had the dirty jeans and the Rush t-shirt. I saw him as kind of like a tough guy. He could play Fly By Night on guitar.
I remember Steve as a really intellectual kid. We were in this gifted program together, and I always felt like I was there by mistake. We never really hung out. He was a grade above me, which at that time was like a decade.
He's very quiet and very soft and shy, and he was outgoing. So we weren't friends or whatever. We were aware of each other. He was definitely Mr. Music, Mr. Rock.
And then I got a hold of a cassette that Steve made with a good friend of his, Jeff Poundset.
And one day at this camp, Ed walked up to me singing one of the songs that I'd written with Jeff. So we started singing it together. I mean, first I was totally flattered that he knew my stuff. The second we sang together, the harmony was perfect.
Some of the songs are really good. Some of the songs are really stupid. I mean, it kind of paved the way for the aesthetic that would become Barenaked Ladies, of taking songcraft really seriously, but really not taking ourselves very seriously.
I think the way I was introduced to you first was the Speaker's Corner, Be My Yoko Ono, crammed in the room. What do you remember from that?
We used to watch Speaker's Corner weekly, and I thought it was hilarious. You know, it was always people complaining about parking in their area.
Well, Brian Mulrooney's really done some terrible things, and the GST is bad, or whatever they say.
And it was a community voices segment.
Somebody else is like, down here on Queen Street, all you people with your black jeans, stupid. And we went in.
And then all of a sudden,
yeah, we're like, hey, how are you? Ah!
You can be my Yoko Ono.
And when we went in and played a song in there, they loved it.
People from Much Music called us and said, this is like, we've been waiting for somebody to do this. This is genius. We just did everything we could to get in people's faces.
Relentless.
So for $1, we made a video that was in heavy rotation at Much against $750,000 productions coming out of Los Angeles. You know, it was hilarious.
Lying in bed, just like Brian Robertson did.
There was really hard work that went into getting this off the ground at the beginning, and I feel like that really paid off with the yellow tape, right?
Yeah.
It's the first independent tape to reach platinum status. How much of that was a turning point for the band?
This is a band that's had 100 turning points.
It feels like that. I'm just thinking, like, I have a couple other turning points to get to.
Yeah, I mean,
that was an early one.
That was an early one.
people were telling me stories about walking into HMV and just seeing this stack of like hand-folded tapes.
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
We went from selling 400 cassettes a week to 14,000 cassettes a week. That really sort of put the name of the band into the national discourse.
I mean, there was independent music in Canada.
Yep.
But the kind of scene that happened in the early 90s started with our tape, and kind of unintentionally so.
I'd be rich.
The news being that Barenaked Ladies is inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame is also the news that the Barenaked Ladies and Stephen Page has been inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. Has that made you reflect about why he left, about that he left? Has it had to bring back some of those old feelings?
Certainly. You know, honestly, the first couple of weeks of sort of trying to get my head around the Hall of Fame announcement was getting my head around what interacting with Steve was going to be like again. And then I realized it's going to be great. We're being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
And it's been 10 years since you left the band, about 10 years. Has this time made you reflect differently on why you did leave the band?
Yeah.
People were saying it was because you were kind of had enough. There was the arrest for drugs in New York. It felt very messy. Like we never really got a
It was kind of all of those things, you know, like we weren't on the same page with what we wanted to do next.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think any of us wanted to do it together.
What we all forget is you actually were breaking up not with a band, not with a bunch of songs, but with your friends. Because I can't imagine what that's like for it all to be so public.
Yeah, that is the hardest part. What hurt the most was it was like I was totally by myself and they were unified as the four of them.
Oh, man.
And it's like, you know, they're your brothers and you feel like that's not what you expect to be in that situation.
How'd you make it out?
Trial and error. I mean, just keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds trite, but it really is keep going.
Does some of that old Rush t-shirt stuff is there still some of that in there?
For sure. I mean, Steve's a guy I've known since the 4th grade. And you know, working with someone in a band is not like working with someone in any other profession. It's like a marriage. And we were together nearly 24/7 for 20 years. And then we had a parting and we almost haven't talked. Really? In 10 years.
Like, was it weird at all to get the call, given the history with the band, given that you're not in the band anymore? Like, did it at least feel a little weird?
Anxiety inducing?
Yeah.
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 Oh, sure. Yeah, terrifying. I just thought, well, this is the first time I will be in the same room as those guys in 9 years.
So when this announcement came up, you know, at first I just thought, oh, this is going to be weird. Oh, what are we going to do? What are people going to expect? How are they going to react to it? How are they going to... And then I thought, I'm just going to text Steve. You know, so I just texted him and I said, hey, man, I'm really proud of this and I hope we can find a way to make this great for everyone and I hope you feel good about it. And he wrote me back right away and said, I'm super proud of it too. And, you know, so we reconnected kind of on our own terms.
How are you feeling now?
Pretty good. I've been talking to Ed a bit and texting with some of the guys in the group and just kind of feeling the good feelings from the fans. The fact that they remember us and have fond memories of all of us together it's nothing but positive.
What's that going to be like on stage with him?
It's going to be great. Steve and I, despite everything, always could perform together. We were always good at it. We were always great on stage together. And even when the band was having tough times, we could still always perform.
The number of people who stop me on the street or in a coffee shop or whatever else just to say congratulations or to share a memory, like, that's so great.
A lot of the messages I got were like, so proud, you know, it's about time.
I can tell you're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled, I'm grateful, and I'm really looking forward to it.